The chat.
One, two, three. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the call. I'm Ray Madoran, and my wife Barb and I are master coordinators, and we live here in sunny Scottsdale, Arizona, and we're going to be your hosts for tonight's call. For those of you that are new and joining us for the first time, or maybe your guests, this is our monthly OPA call. These calls are hosted by the master coordinator organizations that began with Mary and Gary Loomis and has continued and grown under their son, Rob. OPA stands for Organic Product Associates. That's the name the Loomises gave their business organization because they knew even in the very early days that their Shackley business would grow beyond the place where people would know the names of the early mentors and masters, and they wanted to create a family legacy. The OPA organization has grown today where it is doing over $14 million in sales annually with over 250 business leaders and 10 master coordinator teams, including 2 presidential masters. So that's a little bit about the OPA organization and its history. By the way, this call is being recorded and archived on the website opastuff.org. That's opastuff.org. So if some of you people could not be on the call tonight, you can send them to opastuff.org and they can listen to it, or maybe you just want to re-listen to it yourself. So now I'm going to turn the meeting over to Kathy Payton. Kathy is a senior business leader in our organization and is first level to Barb and me. Kathy has the honor tonight of introducing our very, very, very special guest for this evening. Kathy, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Great. All right, great. Well, I am thrilled that Laura Coombs is with us tonight. I have known Laura for over 20 years now. She is my favorite science geek and my favorite brainiac. She is absolutely multifaceted in her knowledge about health and nutrition and fitness. I loved her book, Of Course Your Knees Hurt, and I belonged to her Age Strong group, which she founded. I've been part of it I've been learning from her for the last several months. So it's absolutely wonderful. And more recently, she has been working with my husband, Ben, through Zoom, because she's also a posture coach and she's also certified in the Egoscue method, which some of you guys know about. She's helping his body get straightened out after 30 years of traumatic injuries working in the building trade. So Laura has been part of our entire family. She's hit every single member of our family so far. And she's one of my favorite teachers and speakers. So I don't want to say anything more about her because I wanted her to be able to get right to it. So Laura, thanks for being with us tonight.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much for having me. When you and Barb and Ray asked me to do this, I was so excited because there's nothing I love more than talking about the guts and educating people about this very, very important, and very, very important part of our bodies, an important part of our healthcare as well. As Kathy said, I am a science geek. I absolutely love digging through all the research and kind of distilling it down. I'm going to pin myself here. Kind of distilling it down so that it's a little bit more manageable and a lot more actionable. So what I want you guys to do before we get started is grab something to write with. The teacher in me is coming out. Grab something to write with and promise yourself that any notes that you take tonight are going to be action oriented, okay? Not information oriented or tidbit oriented. I want it to be super action oriented so that when we're done tonight, you are actually taking charge and taking action with your gut. So thank you for letting me talk tonight. Thank you for inviting me and welcome to our gut check.
Gut check.
Okay, first we're going to have a quick history lesson because I'm an athletic trainer I've always been interested in what keeps athletes in the game and what gives athletes a competitive edge. And lo and behold, there was another athletic trainer way back in gladiator days. His name was Claudius Galen. And he was the first sports medicine physician. He took care of the gladiators. What do you think he noticed about the most successful gladiators? What do you think were some of the qualities that those winning gladiators exhibited? And you're going to probably think of things like they had the big biceps, or they had the best genetics and the best makeup, or they had endless hours of training and practice, or they had some kind of fancy gadgets that helped them to win, or they had amazing health insurance, or a great universal healthcare policy. No, none of those are what the winningest gladiators had. What Galen recognized was that the winningest gladiators had good hydration, good exercise, plenty of fresh air, plenty of fresh food, stress management, sleep management, and gut management. Galen, way back in 120 AD, was onto something. He knew that the gladiators with the best digestion had the best success in the arena. He wrote thousands of articles about digestion and health, and his methods of research in sports medicine were very popular for 1,000 years until modern medicine came in and took over. So his 7 pillars of health were the original healthcare. Okay, so just looking back at history, we start to get a glimpse of what healthcare really was. This form of healthcare that Galen established was very accessible. It was very affordable. It was very sensible and safe, and it was patient-centered. It was a very take charge approach. It was each individual athlete's responsibility to take charge of those 7 pillars and find a way to implement them and take action on each of those steps. Patient-centered healthcare that was accessible, affordable, sensible, and safe. Fast forward to 2022. Here's our healthcare. Instead of the 7 pillars, we have the 7 pills. We have anti-diabetic drugs. We have cholesterol-lowering drugs, antidepressants, pain medicine, antibiotics, anti-cancer drugs, and alcohol, except for red wine, which is still okay. We now have 7 pills instead of 7 pillars. This is our healthcare today. Many of these drugs are very helpful. Many of these drugs are life-saving. Many of them are even necessary sometimes. Check my references for more information on what those 7 drugs are doing to your body. These 7 drugs are not always accessible. They are not always affordable. They are not always sensible. They are not always safe, and they're very institution-centered instead of being patient-centered. Who's in charge here? Who is in charge of this healthcare? Not the patient. The patient is receiving pills instead of being in charge of the 7 pillars. This kind of healthcare, I think, has an even bigger problem, and that's called polypharmacy. Many pharmaceuticals. This is a real thing. This is a real condition, and this is a real problem. Harvard Medical School, they're good, right? They're smart. They know things there. They put out a paper that said that polypharmacy, or too many prescription drugs, 4 or more prescription drugs taken over a long period of time, is a statistically significant predictor of hospitalization, nursing home placement, hypoglycemia, fractures, malnutrition, impaired mobility, pneumonia, death of mitochondria. We're going to talk about the mitochondria in just a second. And I ran through those really quickly because I don't want you to write all of those down. I ran through them quickly because I want you to become alarmed. I want you to become alarmed about the effect of polypharmacy. When we take 4 or more prescription drugs over a long period of time, we are at high risk for bad things. One or more, one of those at a time might be completely safe. The FDA might say that one of those drugs is completely safe. They do lots and lots of research on a single drug, on a sample population. What if you're taking 2 drugs or 3 drugs or 4 or more? What if you weren't in that sample population and we don't know exactly how that drug affects you, or that drug plus another drug plus some other lifestyle choices plus some other things that you might be allergic to plus some other complicated medical history are now all interacting? Polypharmacy contributes to the death of mitochondria. And I chose this slide to illustrate what the mitochondria really do. They are the powerhouse of the cell. So if we imagine that these light bulbs are the cells in your body, look at the one in front with that bright mitochondria shining. That bright filament is the powerhouse of the cell. The mitochondria is the powerhouse of that cell. Look at all the poor cells in the background. Their mitochondria have died because of polypharmacy, because of too many prescription drugs. And what do you think happens to a light bulb or a cell when the powerhouse goes out? That cell dies. And now we have early onset dementia, early onset liver failure, early onset disease of organ failures across the board. Okay, so polypharmacy, too many drugs, is bad. Healthcare, as we know it today, has a problem. So what happened? What the heck happened? How did we go from 7 pillars to 7 pills? In 1800 years, Galen's 7 pillars of health have turned into 7 pills. And healthcare is no longer the lifestyle that Galen laid out for us. Healthcare is now an industry. One of the reasons is because Galen's 7 pillars of healthcare are often seen as being very burdensome. It's hard to get fresh air. It's hard to eat right. It takes a lot of time to exercise. It's uncomfortable. It's punishing. It's seen as time consuming. It's seen as very expensive. Don't get me started on how cheap and easy it is to be healthy. And this Galen's 7 pillars are also kind of seen as only for fitness freaks. There's a big problem with the norm almost shaming the people that are trying to adapt the 7 pillars. We're seen as freaks. Oh my God, you're going to bed early? Oh my God, you're eating all those vegetables? Oh my God, you're exercising again? I'm not the freak, okay? The healthcare system, the 7 pills system is what needs to change, not this 7 pillars. Unfortunately, the 7 pills are slowly taking their toll on our powerhouse mitochondria, and our precious gut has been an uncomfortable and embarrassing afterthought in all of this conversation. Okay, so what I want to do, what my goals are for this talk are to introduce you to your gut, explain why gut care is the new healthcare, identify the 3 most important things you must do to take care of your gut, and help you take charge of your gut. Help you take charge of your health where it really matters most, the gut. Now, I've been a coach for 30 years, and I have seen all kinds of athletes and all kinds of clients and various goals and various health histories. And what I really believe is that before we talk about anything else, before we talk about how you look or how you're performing or how many miles you want to run or how many pounds you want to lose, we have to take charge of the gut, bringing it back to the basics, Galen style. All right, so allow me to introduce you to your gut. Here it is. This is a gorgeous, gorgeous garden of flourishing microbiota that's alive and diverse habitat for your health care. Okay, your actual gut is not a garden hedge, but instead it's a 16-foot maze that has trillions of living, breathing organisms inside. They live in this specialized, miraculous structure. Now, those trillions of organisms inside the gut and the specialized, miraculous structure of the gut are depending on you wholeheartedly to help it function and flourish. The gut doesn't live in a little bubble that can produce what it needs by itself. It is depending on you to feed it and nurture it and treat it in a way that's respectful and appreciative of everything that we expect of it. It's a super dynamic garden, and that's why I love this picture. It's a super dynamic garden of diverse activities and diverse life, and how you tend to that garden in your gut has absolutely everything to do with your health. Okay, so here's what we normally think the gut does, right? We kind of just think of it awkwardly or embarrassedly or timidly. We don't like to really mention it out loud or talk about it. We think of it as a tube of elimination or a poop maker. And what it really does is so much more than that. Here's what it really does. It takes all the nutrients from the foods that you eat and digests them and delivers them to your bloodstream. And then once that great food gets into your bloodstream, it can be delivered to your trillions of cells that make up you. It's kind of like a soaker hose in that way. It does this too. It helps to metabolize and digest and deliver all the great supplements that you're taking. We are a group of people that really believe in the supplementation offered to us by Shaklee. And all of those great supplements are only delivered to your bloodstream and to your cells if your gut is working properly. Okay. The great Shaklee supplements that are safe, proven, and guaranteed are super awesome, but they're only delivered to the bloodstream by a healthy, high-functioning gut. All right, here's some other things that your gut does. The gut gives us strength by digesting and delivering the protein and amino acids. Okay, that protein shake that we're drinking and the amino acids that are in it don't just end up in your biceps or your bones or your brain. Obviously, it passes through your gut. And I think most of us stop there and we think, okay, well, whatever my body doesn't use, I just expel it. What's happening is the gut is digesting and delivering that to the muscles. So what a great reason to take care of your garden, to take care of your gut. Your gut gives us focus. Look at this one. She is working away. This is my stock photo twin, I think. We have the same haircut and the same glasses. The gut gives you focus by helping to balance that gut-brain connection. Again, Harvard Medical School, they said a troubled intestine can send distress to the brain. A troubled intestine can send distress to the brain, which is interpreted then as being anxiety, nervousness, stress, depression, forgetfulness, and even perception of pain. So when your gut is imbalanced or under distress, distress signals go to the brain and they can give us all kinds of mental, I'm having a mental moment right now, all kinds of mental handicaps, almost mental difficulties, cognitive challenges. The gut gives us focus. What a great reason to take care of it. The gut gives us resilience by fighting off viruses, infections, allergies, and harmful bacteria with its diverse army of trillions of live, friendly organisms. The gut gives us balance. I love this picture. Who doesn't want more of this in their life? Balance doesn't just mean smooth sailing on a lake or being able to not fall over. I want you to think about balance as balancing our cholesterol levels, balancing our hunger hormones, balancing our serotonin. 95% of your serotonin, that's your happy hormone, is produced and stored in the gut. The gut also is responsible for balancing our thyroid hormone and our insulin hormone. Okay, it is not just a poop maker. It gives us balance for all of those important hormones that affect our metabolism, our cardiovascular health, and our mental health. The gut is responsible for some waste management. It can work overtime as needed by getting rid of our junk food, our processed food, our toxic food, and our non-food. Your gut will work overtime to get rid of those things, because if it doesn't, it's going to digest and deliver all of that junk into your bloodstream and into your cells. Your body says, no, no, we don't want that. I will work overtime at the gut level to help get rid of that. So what happens when we do that over and over and over again, day in and day out? And maybe you're not eating ribs and potato chips, but maybe you are eating a lot of processed food or non-food. Little action moment there. Is there something you need to scratch down on your notepad about eating junk food, processed food, or non-food? Take a note there if you need to. You're putting your gut under a lot of unnecessary stress if you're consuming stuff like that on a regular basis. As an athletic trainer, I love this one. The gut keeps you in the game. Of all the athletes that I've ever worked with, the ones that are the most resilient to injury, the most resilient to muscle loss and bone loss and fatigue and illness were the ones that had a healthy gut, because they were doing the things that are required to keep them in the game. Keeping them in the game didn't mean getting bigger biceps or practicing longer or harder or getting a fancy gadget. It meant taking care of their gut health. Galen saw it in 200 AD, and I've seen it since I was on the sidelines way back in 1990. Your gut also gives you a competitive edge. If you want to perform better in any aspect of your life, whether it be in business, or you want to have an edge emotionally or creatively, or you want to have an edge joyfully, or you want to have an edge with whatever you're competing with, whatever your personal goals are, your gut is going to give you that because of all the things we just talked about, the balance of your hormones, the cognitive function being improved, getting rid of the waste and the junk that you're consuming, and managing your disease resistance. The gut helps you thrive because of its ability to digest and deliver for as long as we are putting good things in our mouth. And as long as our gut is thriving, we're increasing our health span and we're increasing our potential for a long, happy, healthy life. But that's only if your gut looks like this. All of those things I just promised you are only if your gut looks like this. This is a gut that delivers optimal performance. This is a gut that delivers optimal health. This optimal gut is our goal. Not bigger biceps, not skinny jeans, not great expensive health insurance. This is our goal. And taking charge of your gut is the most important thing you can do for your health care. This is the gut of somebody that had too much blank. So instead of it just being a nice green oasis of this diverse microbiome and all these wonderful organisms that are going to fight for us, now we've got a concrete, blacktop, steel-clad superhighway that is not alive, it is not diverse, it is not functional, and it is certainly not thriving. So too much what makes it look like this? Too much what turns me from this to this? Stress makes it look like this. Raise your hand if you're a little stressed. Too much inactivity makes it look like this. And I'm not saying, oh, well, go to the gym for 30 minutes or 2 hours and you're going to be fine. Inactivity means you're sitting too much and trying to make up for it in the gym. Okay, too much inactivity makes your gut look like this. Poor sleep makes your gut look like this. Antibiotics, smoking, lack of diversity in your diet makes your gut look like this. And alcohol, except for red wine, makes your gut look like this. And when your gut looks like this, it's not able to do this. You're eating all the great foods, but you're really stressed out. Your gut looks like this. You're eating all the right foods. You're even taking some great supplements, but you are inactive. Your gut looks like this. You are eating amazing organic produce from the farm stand and taking even more supplements, but you're not getting great sleep. Your gut looks like this. Okay, so all of those things I promised you on the previous slides are off the table. You're not going to have the resilience, you're not going to have the balance, you're not going to have the cognitive strength, and you're not going to be able to stay in the game if your gut looks like this. It also makes it really hard to fight this. And this is not any specific disease or illness, it's just a stock photo of a germ. If you are always stressed, or you're drinking too much alcohol, or you're inactive, or you're not getting good sleep, or you don't have a lot of diversity in your diet, or you're taking too many antibiotics, or you have a history of smoking, it's hard for you to fight germs, disease, illness, and infection. You know that. And so when your gut looks like that, now you are fill in the blank. Run down. Now you are feeling and looking older than you really are. Now you are experiencing unexplained allergies all of a sudden. Or maybe you are dealing with autoimmune disorders, digestive issues, skin issues, sugar cravings, sleep issues, mood disorders. Maybe you're sluggish and maybe you're sick. And it's not because you need more of this, it's because your gut looks like this. You need more of this. Okay, so if you are experiencing, or the people that you're reaching out to are experiencing any of those things, it's not because, oh, I just need to eat a little better, I just need to exercise a little more, I just need more supplements. You need this first. Then all of that other stuff is going to work even better. If you have a gut that looks like this, your supplements are going to work better. If you have a gut that looks like this, your exercise is going to work better. Your sleep is going to work better. Your healthy diet is going to work better. Okay. Take a minute and jot down a quick action step there. What have we talked about so far that's kind of like, oh boy, I think she's talking about me. Write a little note for yourself. This is what I'm going to take action on this week. This is one step that I'm going to take to really build that beautiful gut that she keeps showing right there. Let's take charge of that. Okay. Let's take charge and make this about us. Let's make this patient-centered. Let's assume the personal responsibility that we have got to show our gut if we really want to be in good health. It's nobody else's responsibility but our own. And the great thing is this stuff is super, super simple. So I'm going to show you right now the 3 things that I think are most important. Number 1, take charge of when you eat. Take charge of when you eat. Fasting for 12 to 16 hours gives your gut a break from digesting and allows it to actually renew, defend, and deliver. Take charge of when you eat. Stop eating for 12 to 16 hours if you know that that is safe and healthy for you. If you can give your gut a break for 12 to 16 hours and let it actually renew, defend, and deliver, it's going to start looking more and more like that beautiful green hedge and less like the superhighway. Okay, so that's number 1. Number 2, take charge of how you eat. Eat less. Eat smaller portions. Chew your food until it's the consistency of baby food. Imagine how much easier it's going to be on your stomach, well, your esophagus and your stomach and your intestines if baby food is running through them instead of chunks of food. If we would use our lovely, miraculous teeth and saliva for what they were made for, and we would take 20 minutes to enjoy a meal and chew it till it's the consistency of baby food, your gut is going to help. Your gut's going to thank you because now it has to do less muscular work and it can do more defending and absorbing and delivering work. Okay, so how you eat, small portions, chew your food until it's baby food consistency. Stop eating when you are no longer hungry. Think about that for just a minute. Stop eating when you are no longer hungry. What do we do here in the Western world? We stop eating when we're full. What if we stopped eating when we were no longer hungry? Think about how much less demand that is on your gut. Okay. And then slow down, relax, and enjoy what you're eating. Because when we're in a rush, or when we're standing at the countertop, or when we're shoveling food in during a meeting, or while we're finishing up our deadline, eating becomes stressful. And when we are stressed, when we're eating, that disrupts our gut health. It sends those signals to the brain that we are, that our brain and gut are under duress. Okay. And it's very hard to unwind that. So write a couple action notes here if anything that I just said was kind of speaking to you. All right. Because I really want you to have that championship looking gut. That was tip number 2. Here's step number 3. And step number 3 has several sub steps. So take charge of what you eat. Take charge of what you eat. Here are some guidelines. this might be another area where you're going to take some action notes. Work yourself up to consistently eating 25 to 40 grams of fiber each day. Work yourself up to it, please, because going for it all at once is going to be uncomfortable. Work yourself up to 25 to 40 grams of fiber each day from a variety of sources. The gut diversity is depending on food diversity. A diverse gut gives us a diverse toolkit for managing disease and illness, but it only gets there with a diverse food source. Okay, so that fiber supplement that you love is great, but it's not very diverse. A supplement is a great supplement to a diverse diet. So 20 to 40 grams of fiber from a diverse source of foods, because we want that robust biome. Berries, nuts, and seeds are real heavy hitters here, real high fiber. Read your labels, Google it. You'll get a great list of other stuff you can be eating. We also, in addition to wanting a diverse food, we want diverse solubility. So we want a nice blend of insoluble and soluble fiber. This is exactly the kind of stuff we talk about with my clients. Google it. If you need a list of the soluble and insoluble fibers, we want a nice variety there. We want high pre and probiotic foods. Let's say that is kefir or yogurt at the bottom of the bowl. Some other probiotic foods, of course, are sauerkraut, apple cider vinegar, and stringy vegetables. Stringy vegetables are great for prebiotics. So think of things like asparagus and artichokes and onions. Celery, anything that has that stringiness in it is really good with prebiotics. And of course, Shaklee has those two great supplements, well, three great supplements, a prebiotic and then two different probiotics. Those are great supplements to a nice bowl like this. We want diversity, not just reliance on supplements. Okay, take charge of what you eat. Part 2, eat some beans, please. Beans are super beneficial to the gut because they ferment. And yes, that is what gives us gas, but I promise over time that will get less and less. The fermentation is magic, you guys, because the fermentation produces short chain fatty acids, SCFA, short chain fatty acids. The fermentation process produces those short chain fatty acids, and those assist the probiotic activity. Okay, so the beans ferment, they make a product, SCFA, that goes in there and helps all those wonderful probiotics that you've been supplementing with. Okay, we want the probiotics to stay really active so they can do their work in the gut. The other great thing about these short chain fatty acids is they repair the lining of the gut. Your gut lining is part of the magic. It's got all those little folds and crevices and little microfilaments inside, and that gets worn down as we age. It's just part of the aging process. It gets worn down, but the beans can help build that back up again. So it's helping the probiotics, but it's also helping repair the structure of the inside of your gut, you guys. Eat some beans, about a half cup a day. All the beans are good. Google it. The nice thing about beans is they're non-perishable, they're super cheap, they taste like whatever seasonings you put on them. Again, we talk about this a whole bunch with my clients because I will not take no for an answer. Everybody that I work with has got to be eating a half cup of beans each day. All right. This is healthcare. Beans are your new healthcare. And if you thought beans were great, take a look at this. A lot of you are going to immediately faint because, oh my God, grains, carbs. Oh my Lord, I haven't eaten a carb in 10 years. I thought carbs were bad. I am here to tell you that whole grains are very, very good for your gut. Whole grains are very, very good for your gut for the same exact reason that beans are. They ferment and they form short chain fatty acids, which help the probiotics stay active, and they repair the inside lining of the gut. Raise your hand if you're on keto right now. Raise your other hand if you're on a gluten-free diet, but you're not struggling with celiac. Studies are now available. We've had the keto diet and we've had the gluten-free diet for enough years now that there are long-term studies on the gut health of people that were on these diets. And what do you think those studies show? The studies show that people that were on keto and gluten-free diets have wrecked their gut. They have damaged the flora and the structure of the lining of their gut because they weren't eating whole grains and they weren't eating beans. Okay, if you have a medical condition and you cannot eat gluten, that's fine, because oats and barley and farro and what's that thing up at the top? Maybe spelt. Oh, a spelt is wheat. There are plenty of whole grains that are gluten-free. I'm not your doctor. This is a conversation that you need to have with your doctor. But if at all possible, add a half cup of cooked whole grains to your diet every day. Your gut will thank you. And it's only an additional 100 calories. I looked it up because I know everybody's like, oh, nope, I'm not going to do it. I can't eat carbs. You can't eat carbs. It's going to be great for your gut, which is great for your metabolism and great for your thyroid and great for your skinny jeans. All right. Boy, I could just spend the whole lecture on that. As you can tell, I'm super excited about whole grains and beans. All right. This is kind of a part of what to eat. I want you to drink more water. Probably you can handle just a little bit more water. I'm going to have some right now. Keep drinking water. Your gut depends on it. You know this. The gut also delivers water to your bloodstream. It delivers water to your bloodstream, which then delivers water to your 37 trillion cells. And if you don't drink water, your body needs it so badly that your gut will go into overtime and find water in your food waste. And it will deliver that water from your food waste to your bloodstream and to your cells. Would you rather have water delivered to your cells or the liquid extracted from your food waste delivered to your cells? I'll let you think about that for just a second. Make a note to yourself if you need to take action on that. All right. And then finally, the thing that we're all here for, let's talk about supplements. These are my top 4 recommendations for Shaklee supplements that support the gut. Notice that none of these are gut supplements. You're not seeing the fiber supplement. You're not seeing the pre and probiotic, as much as I love those two. You're not seeing the laxative. You're not even seeing the Easy Gest. These are what the research is showing are really tending to that garden. The others are great. The others are great. These are tending to the garden in a different way. Okay, we want diversity. We want a multifaceted approach. Here's what I came up with. Number 1, our gut needs polyphenols. Polyphenols. When we have a diet rich in polyphenols, we have a greater abundance of microbes. That's the guys that are in the gut that are helping fight off infection. And polyphenols also support and repair the gut lining. Polyphenols are found in green tea and matcha. Polyphenols are found in resveratrol, like Vivix. Polyphenols are found in flavonoids, which are added to that Vitalizer Gold strip. I looked on the label. And if you wanted to get your polyphenols from real food, you would eat, again, Google it, but the things that jumped out at me were citrus fruits, red cabbage, and onions. And then any of the dark red berries. Okay, my second recommendation for supplements is omega-3s. The research shows that omega-3s restore the colonization of healthy microorganisms. So if you've damaged your gut because of life and you have that concrete superhighway, omega-3s are going to help restore the colonization of healthy microorganisms. So yes, take your pre and probiotics, and yes, take the omega-3s so that we are really building up the strength of our little army in the gut, restoring the colonization. So omega-3s are found in the vitalizer strip. My third recommendation is vitamin D. Vitamin D3 promotes growth of beneficial bacteria. Okay, vitamin D3 promotes the growth of beneficial bacteria. So vitalizer and sunshine. All right, and then fourth recommendation is carotenoids, especially lutein. Okay, research shows that carotenoids promote the growth of beneficial bacteria and reduces the harmful bacteria. So each of these is doing something a little different. The carotenoids are reducing the harmful bacteria as well as promoting the growth of beneficial bacteria. And we find that in the vitalizer strip. We find carotenoids in the organic greens booster. And if you wanted to get that from food, you would do kale, spinach, parsley, and pistachios. So here's what I'm going to challenge everybody to do. I looked at Facebook. That's the only social media that I do. And there are a lot of hashtag Shakleys, but there are no hashtag Shackley guts going yet. I think we should take it back. We should start a trend, and we should all post tonight on our Facebook or social media, gut care is the new health care. So I'm taking my blank. And you can put in whatever you want to. You can fill in the blank with whatever product you were moved by tonight, whether that's your energizing matcha tea or your Vivix or your greens booster, or your vitalizer or your D3 or your omegas or one of the other things I talked about. Gut care is the new healthcare. So I'm taking my whatever, post a picture of it, and then hashtag Shackley Gut. This is going to be a great way to get the word out about the great things that Shackley can do for our gut, the diversity of products that Shackley has to take care of our gut, and some other ways to think about supplementation for the gut. And it can be a really fun way for us to just see what everybody else is posting. We'll create our own little social media community there around the gut. So in closing, I want you to just remember that wholeheartedly taking charge of your gut equals taking charge of your health. I am so happy to be kind of talking you through this and educating you, but also hopefully inspiring you to take action. And I would love to know now in the chat box, because if you put it in the chat box, then it really comes true. Where are you going to start? Which of the action steps tonight are you going to start with? I would love to know.
Hey, Laura, Scott here. Sorry, no chat box.
Oh, no chat box. Okay, that's all right. Well, if we have time for questions, y'all can raise your hand and talk about it in the live Q&A right now. Thank you so much for having me, you guys. If you have any questions or I don't get you tonight, you can contact me at ofcourseyourkneeshurt.com. Okay, there's a little contact me box there, and it's the direct link right to my email.
Okay, thank you, Laura, so very much. Sherry has her hand up. Sherry, what's your question?
Hi, Jerry.
Sherry, you're muted.
Can't hear you.
It looks like you're unmuted, but there's no
sound.
Yeah.
I'm guessing muted locally.
Yeah.
What if I do that?
Let's see here. Ask to unmute. Okay, I think try now. Nope, still can't hear you. Shoot.
Sorry. Yeah, go ahead and email me if you want to.
Or Sherry, if you want to text me, I'll ask her the question.
Okay, Who else has a question? Dean, go ahead.
Hey, Laura. Can you talk a little bit about the cleanse?
What do you want to talk about?
Well, the whole thing that we talk about when we're talking to people about the cleanse is basically to kind of clean and reset everything and then maybe incorporate all the things you were talking about. Do you see
Yeah.
that as a way to use it?
I see that as a way to use it. Yes, I think it's my understanding that the cleanse is a mechanical is a very mechanical cleanse with the addition of the probiotic and the liver detox and the alfalfa, of course. So I think, yeah, mechanically it's getting stuff out of there so that the gut can start the renewal process. I don't know what the recommendation is for how frequently to do the cleanse. I think personally, I always recommend it be used very sparingly and top load with some of these other things. Yeah. Is that fair?
Sure, but it'd be a good way to kind of prep for changing a lot of your eating habits, right?
I'm going to pass on that. I have a
No pun intended,
love-hate relationship with that whole concept.
Okay, fair enough.
You know, Laura, one of the things that I always tell people is food first.
Yeah.
And so work with your food and your eating habits and then add your supplements to it, because
Yeah.
all the wonderful supplements in the world aren't going to change your body if you have an awful diet or
Right,
awful habits.
right.
So is that kind of where you're coming from there?
I like that. Yeah. Yes. Thank you for saving me on that, Barb.
Okay. Who else? Let's see. Sandra's iPhone. Where I can't see you, Sandra. Can you say something? Let's see. Sandra,
Yeah.
go
Can you hear
ahead.
me? Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
I'm sorry. I'm in the middle of other things, so I'm off
That's
camera.
okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. So obviously, I mean, a friend of mine has fatty liver, and I know that's definitely connected to the gut situation. What would you say how she would go about?
Well,
that?
I'm not a doctor. What I would do if I had fatty liver was really examine my lifestyle, and I would begin to adapt as many of these lifestyle and dietary choices as possible, as soon as possible, in a sustainable way. In a very sustainable way. So of the 7 pillars that we talked about with Galen, maybe there's something there. Maybe it's more movement. Maybe it's more fluid. Maybe it's better sleep. Maybe it's simply more fiber or more beans. Little baby steps, I think, is always the best way. Sandra, instead of just going for it all at once.
Right.
Pick something that you can really stick to and then add on as you get more brave.
Yes.
That's
What
great.
about the liver detox? Is that?
I'm not sure. I am not. That's a product that I don't use. I'm not familiar with what it does for the liver. I know that fatty liver. I know people that have had fatty liver, and I know that when they clean up their diet, when they stop eating junk and they stop overeating bad stuff, and start eating more fruits and vegetables, the fatty liver disease goes away. And when they lose weight, it goes away.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Sherry has the question, Laura. She's wondering about people who have gastric bypass surgery. Would you say like the exact same thing that you just told Sandra, like start small baby steps into all of this?
Yeah, because gastric bypass surgery, you still have a good amount of gut. I mean, we start with 16 feet. So even with bypass surgery, you still have some good gut there to work with. It's so yeah, one of the things that I like to tell my clients is start with the easiest one. maybe it's water. Just drink a lot more water for a week. And then once you master that, then we go to the next easiest one. You know what? I've always really liked berries. I'm going to eat more berries this week. You know what else is fun? The weather's better. I'm going to go for a 10-minute walk every day. So pick the low hanging fruit, so to speak, and kind of tiptoe back into toward those 7 pillars, just one at a time.
Great, thanks. Thanks, Laura.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi, Laura, what a great talk. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I wondered if you could address IBS. I have several clients with IBS and how this all fits in.
Yeah, so IBS, yes, that came up a ton in the research, and we think of IBS as a mechanical problem. We think of it as a poop problem, and it's really it's a microbiome problem. So rebuilding that microbiome if it were me, I would probably start with a vitalizer. Because it's got all the repair and restore right in it. It's even got the Pearl probiotic in it. If it were me, that's probably what I would do for my IBS, because I'm getting the carotenoids, I'm getting the flavonoids, I'm getting the vitamin D, I'm getting the polyphenols and the probiotic.
What about as far as the diet? Because a lot of my clients say they can't eat more fruits or they can't eat more vegetables.
They can.
Okay.
They can. They might have to tiptoe into it, and they might need 1 raspberry a week and then 2 raspberries a week. You know what I mean? And not the big bowls full that you and I can eat. The reason that they have IBS is not because fruit is bad or vegetables are bad. It's because their gut is bad. So the very thing that can heal their gut has to start being reintroduced. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a gastroenterologist, but in the research, IBS is not a poop problem. It's a microbiome problem.
Thank you, Laura.
Okay.
Do we have one more question? Okay, I have a question then. What about colitis? I'm running into that a lot. Is that a similar sort of situation?
It's a similar situation, yeah. Itis is just an inflammation of, right? Tendinitis, bursitis, colitis. It's just an inflammation of. So we would have to back it up. What's causing the itis? It's probably not because the gut just decided it wanted to be inflamed. It's probably because of a lifestyle choice that is now showing up in the colon. So it's uncomfortable and it's irritated and it's hot and angry, and it's going to try to get rid of anything that comes inside of it. So we need to calm that down. And I would say that for somebody with IBS and colitis, you have to just be super slow and careful and repair. So I have taken the prebiotic and probiotic every day for 1,000 years, and I will never stop. But they are not repairing the lining of the gut. And the itis is a lining issue. It's not a pre and probiotic issue. So to repair that lining, let me just look at my notes here real quick so I don't tell you the wrong thing. What did we say fixed the lining? Beans and grains are gonna ferment and rebuild the structure of the inside of the gut. So a tiny little bit, like the tiniest of teaspoons of beans and maybe the tiniest of teaspoons of grains for a week and see how it goes. But definitely as far as supplements go, I would say the carotenoids, because well, let me back up on that. I'm gonna scratch that and say polyphenols. Polyphenols support the gut lining. Polyphenols are going to be in green tea, resveratrol, and flavonoids. Flavonoids are in those organic greens boosters and the vitalizer strip.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, you're welcome.
Well, thank you for a wonderful presentation. Lots of great information.
You're welcome.
And everyone know that this is going to be posted, Scott said maybe by later tonight, but tomorrow otherwise on opastuff.org. And your contact information is somewhere in this recording too. So that way people, you want to repeat that again? How do people get oh, you're muted.
You are all welcome to contact me with any follow-up questions that we didn't hit at, of course, yourkneeshurt.com.
Okay, thank you.
Your knees hurt.
Of course, your knees hurt.com. And if you are interested, Laura, as you can tell, is a wealth of information. It's easy to understand what she's talking about. I love your illustrations. The hedge versus the freeway was wonderful. It really left an impression for me, and I know it did the rest of you too. Thank you all for being here, for taking your time. Laura, thank you for your time. And we look forward to talking with you all and seeing you next month. Good night, everybody.
Yeah, thanks, Laura. Great job.
Thank you,
hon.
Laura.
Good night. Thank you.
Thanks, Laura.
Great job, Laura.
great
Thank
job.
you.
Good night, Laura. Thank you.